Before we begin this video, I want to point out that some footage will be used from these YouTube channels. I do not own the rights to any music or videos, and they are borrowed for the purpose of providing visuals to go along with the narrative. I thank these YouTubers in advance for providing public videos that are accessible and for shedding light into the HBCU band, dance, and auxiliary world. These are just some of my personal favorite channels. If anybody watching is a videographer and would like me to check them out, please like and leave a comment of your channel so I can check you out. A link of these channels is provided in the description. Hey everybody, so I'm coming to you from outside the front of my house because I wanted to get some fresh air and some sunlight, but also to talk to you about this week's topic, which is tryout season. So even though we are under this whole coronavirus quarantine, this still is tryout season, and a lot of different universities, even high schools, dance companies, cheer squads, cheer companies, basically any kind of performance group you could think of, a lot of them are doing virtual tryouts, which are video tryouts. Now, there are some pros and cons to this, which I will get into. However, I do want to give some general tryout tips and things like that, and just kind of give you some information that you can use to prepare yourself for an upcoming tryout this season or this summer, definitely. To give you a little background about myself, I've been coaching about 20 years. I primarily coach in the middle school age range, and many of my young dancers, cheerleaders, steppers, whatever performance group that I coach, they usually go on to high school and college doing that same type of performing that they've done under my tutelage. So, I guess I pretty much have an okay track record with that. I also have a lot of competitors. I've coached a lot of competition squads. So the list goes on and on and on. The main thing that I constantly get from, especially parents and children who want to try out for different teams or even my teams that I coach, the number one thing that always comes out of everybody's mouth is, well, what do I have to do for tryout? Well, the first thing is you have to shake your nerves. Tryouts are a nerve-wracking process for those trying out, and also, believe it or not, those people who are doing the tryouts. You have to keep in mind, a lot of times the people that are orchestrating these tryouts, they're looking for not only new talent for their teams and their organizations, but they're also looking for people who are going to carry on the legacy, or it might be a rebuilding year for that coach. So going into the tryouts, you being nervous as an auditionee is not going to make anything better. So the first thing you want to do is just find your calm space and just relax. The next thing is take in everything that they say during the tryout. During the tryout process, you are going to be taught everything that you need to be successful at that tryout. And a lot of times people come into tryouts with either a lot of arrogance, thinking they already know what they need to make that team or that organization, or they come in with a lot of self-doubt. So come in like a sponge. Come in ready to learn everything and take in all the critiques and all the notes that you're given during the tryout process. The next thing you need to know for tryouts is simple fundamentals. If you are a dancer, know your turns, know your leaps, know your struts, know your stretches, know your basic foundation of dance. If you don't have basic foundations, then you might want to reconsider that year. And also have a sense of rhythm and musicality. Try doing different dance moves. Try pulling up dance videos on YouTube and learning. And don't just learn one specific dance genre, like HBCU style dance or drill team style dancing. You want to learn the foundation of dance comes from ballet. So if you want to really practice and hone in on some skills, pull up some ballet technique videos and practice a lot of ballet technique. Look at the team, watch the team. Don't just try out for a team that you've never seen before. You want to look up some old videos, maybe go to some games or something and check out the team that you want to audition for. If you're going for college, obviously utilize this time. This day and age, you have the wonderful use of technology. You can go on YouTube and virtually see any college that you want to research. You can find them somewhere on social networks. Just look up their college team and really research their style, because a lot of that falls under how they're going to expect you to be when you come in.
So actually, I went online, I went on YouTube, and I looked up the cheerleaders for LaFleur. I watched them, and then I came across a dance girl video, and I watched that. I was like, ooh, I like this.
Yeah.
And then the very first doll video I ever came by was Power,
Okay.
when DT was captain.
Oh, yeah.
And I was sold. The French cut, Sierra Cole, like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
Casey Greggs. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I went to school. I went to high school. I had my experience with dance. And I did look at multiple colleges, not even just HBCUs, because I wasn't sure what exactly I wanted to go to school for.
Right.
And then
When I coached at Northwestern State University in Louisiana, one thing that we used to always say there was, don't just be perfect, be NSU perfect. And when I first came into NSU as a freshman, I remember thinking, well, everybody in this room, I was on the color guard, and that year we had 48 people. And I remember the coordinator was like, the very first day of band camp, coordinator was like, raise your hand if you were a captain or section leader in your color guard back at home. I was the only person that didn't raise my hand because I was a drum major in high school. So, and then prior to coming to Northwestern, I was a cheerleader. So I never did color guard until I got to Northwestern. Well, everybody around me was raising their hands. Everybody was like, I was a captain, I was section leader, I was this, I was that, I was over the winter guard, blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking like, I'm in a room full of all this superior talent. Like, what's going to set me apart when I get on that field? And when the coordinator mentioned being NSU perfect, it made sense because our practice ethic was strong. Like, to be among a group of people that, if we dropped a flag, that was unacceptable. Like, we worked on that move or that maneuver over and over again until we got to a point where we can do that toss 50 times without dropping. Or we got to a point where we can do that routine 100 times without any mistakes. I mean, that was the level of perfection that we strive for. And I kind of carried that on throughout my years. When I first started coaching 20 years ago, honestly, I kind of didn't know what I was doing. My coworker, she was like, hey, I have this squad. I need help with an audition. So can you come with me? And we went. And I remember asking her, I was like, well, what do we look for in an audition? And she flat out told me, she said, watch what I teach the kids, watch how I do it, and then base their tryouts on how closely they came to looking like me. And that's my next tip for you with tryouts. When you are watching the choreographers and you're watching the coaches and you're watching whoever it is that's teaching the material, you want to emulate as much of what they're doing as possible. If they show you a port-de-bras a certain way, if they show you a leg extension a certain way, if they show you a position a certain way, do it exactly how they teach you. Many, many times when I judge a tryout, sometimes I have to stop the tryout and I will ask, who choreographed this tryout dance? Who choreographed this maneuver? Can I see you do it? And when the choreographer or the coach or whoever gets up and does the maneuver, sometimes it's even the previous year's captain. When they get up and do the maneuver, that is what I expect if I'm judging the tryout. If I'm a coach of a team, typically what I do is I will have my captains teach my tryouts. I will usually teach like the trial routine, or I'll pick like one aspect of the trial that I actually teach, but the rest of it I usually have my girls teach it because I want the young ladies trying out. First of all, they're looking at me as an adult. So obviously they're going to look at me like, of course he can do it. He's been doing this for years. So I want to show them somebody who's in their age range that can do the maneuvers, that can do the dances, that can do the tricks that I'm asking them to do for tryouts. Secondly, they learn better from their peers because their peers can explain to them how they learn how to do the maneuver. So when you're at a tryout, you want to learn exactly what it is that they're teaching you and do it exactly the way they taught you before you start adding your little razzle-dazzle and all that stuff. Like, yeah, the people watching your auditions, they want to see some of your personality, but keep in mind that this is an audition and you definitely want to show or showcase exactly what it is that they taught you because that's the bulk of your tryout. And then lastly, going into tryouts, a thing that you want to do is you want to highlight yourself. When you go into a tryout room, yes, there's what's called dancer etiquette, or there's flag etiquette, or cheer etiquette. Basically, when you're in a crowded space, you're not going to be able to always do everything full out until they start breaking y'all down into smaller groups, and then you can start doing things full out. Or whenever you have dead time, instead of going off into the corner, eating snacks and drinking and all that other stuff, go off and practice the material that is being taught at the tryout. Typically, a tryout is taught in a very small window frame. For my dance tryouts, I used to do like a week-long worth of fundamentals and clinics, but then it got to a point where I realized, in the real dance world, you don't have that long to learn all of that. You typically will go in, you'll have like maybe 2-3 hours at most to learn a routine and learn some other aspects of the tryouts. Like they're going to go through like a flow of what their tryout is going to be consistent of, and then you go in front of the judges. I will have open clinics just to teach people some of the fundamentals, because the age range that I teach, many of them, this is their first experience with dance. This is their first experience with trying out ever. So I kind of transition them into that culture. However, going into it, you have to know that a lot of times you're only going to get an hour, maybe 2, maybe 3 on a stretch to learn all of the material before you actually have to go into that tryout. So virtual tryouts, let's talk about it. 1, when you go to do your virtual tryout, do not, I repeat, do not try to do it by yourself. You need someone who is going to be there to film you, and you want to make sure that they film you the proper way. If you're using a telephone or cell phone to videotape your tryout, you want to make sure that you turn the phone sideways. That way you get a full screen view of yourself and not just the up and down screen. That's why when you see sometimes YouTube videos, you see their little slim boxes, because people turn their phone up and down rather than sideways to full screen view. Another reason why you want somebody to hold the camera while you're doing the tryout is because you want them to move with you and actually capture your movement and be close enough to you to where not only can we see your full form, we can also see your facial expressions. Oftentimes when I've judged virtual trial videos, they're so far away I can't see the person's face, so I can't tell what their facial expression is going to be during that routine. So oftentimes that's not a good idea. Next, don't try to do a lot of editing with your videos. Like, try to do as much of a raw cut as possible. So if you have to learn like a routine and perform that routine, you definitely just want the person to record you while you're doing the routine and just do like one take, or take the video clip that's just one take. You don't want a bunch of cuts, because then it kind of looks like you took like the best parts of many different times you did that routine, and that's not a true tryout. The last part about a virtual tryout that you want to keep is, just put on there what's asked and what's expected, showcasing the material that is asked of you, and you give that information. You want to look your best. So just like in a regular tryout, if you are required to do hair and makeup and have a certain look, wear a certain type of, you want to wear the appropriate attire in the tryout, because if you don't, that could disqualify you as well. One thing that a lot of people overlook in tryouts is their appearance. I can't tell you the number of times I've gone to a tryout and the person trying out just looks like they rolled out of bed. No, remember, this is a performance for you, so you want to give performance ready as closely as you can get. And lastly, for tryouts, the one thing you want to keep in mind is make it fun. Like, a tryout is an experience. It's something that is to build your character and your confidence. Even if you don't make the team, you can gain a lot of information from a tryouts about what it is that you need to work on. I can't tell you the number of times I've had young ladies who didn't make my team their first year trying out, but they actually took my advice that I gave them, and they went home and they worked on it, and they came back and became like a phenomenal person. Many people that I've coached, when they go on to high school and college, they tell me that the tryout experience isn't as bad because of the tryout that they went through with me. When they get to me, they start developing that thick skin, but also developing this self-awareness and this self-reflection. Rather than walking out of a tryout defeated, they walk out of a tryout empowered. For all of you that's trying out for a team, whether it be virtual, whether it be in person, good luck, do your best, have fun. I wish you all the best, and drop some comments and tell me what teams you're trying out for, and if some of the tips I left you help you, definitely let me know if you made the teams that you tried out for, and keep pushing forward, and good luck.